I would like to know, how can we improve imagination? Because I get stuck when I try to go with the flow, when I try to imagine things being in the vortex. My common sense or my grounding sometimes is so strong, or I look at the past so often that things repeat. I get stuck in these cycles. And maybe because I use my intellect too much, and I love the knowledge, and I love the questions of today about the knowledge and knowing why. I would like to know how, being so reason-oriented, how can I improve my imagination to, when I'm in the vortex, I can really visualize and materialize better.
Well, when you're in the vortex, you don't have to improve your imagination because the vortex will reveal more to you. In fact, that's what true power and mastery is making your way to the vortex and then in that vibrational attitude of then experiencing the revelation of the broader perspective. You see, you've been sifting through the contrast and you've built not something that is imaginary, but something that is real, that will begin to show itself to you. Oh, we're about to have a really wonderful conversation here, so prepare yourselves. We're going to new places with this. There are so many things we want to give to you all at once, so we're just going to slow down here and build a little bit of a basis for it. First, we want to say to you that we really enjoyed your words about the images that you've been focused upon, and we could feel, even though you didn't use the word, momentum in that. In other words, you get so good at having experiences and recalling the experiences that there is a lot of vivid imagery in memory. And the reason that there is so much vivid imagery in memory is because as you lived it, first of all, there was the thought that preceded it, and then there was the expectation of it, whether you knew it or not, and then there was the manifestation of it, and then there was the observation of it, and so all of that was the creating of a basis of imagery. So what you've lived, or what you remember, that's really vivid imagery, even though it's not happening right now. Would you agree? Imagery meaning imagination. You're using imagery. You're not seeing it. You're not observing it. It's imagery because it has a vibrational basis that is practiced. This is a good conversation, isn't it? So now let's add to this conversation the word specific, because you lived it and you've talked about it and you've remembered it. There's a lot of specifics that are going on there, so that makes the momentum of that vibration even stronger. So then you're saying, I would like some positive imagery, or some different imagery, or some motion forward imagery, something different than perhaps what I'm living or what I've lived. And we say, and isn't it logical that you can't make that jump, because the specifics of this is so strong that when you attempt to pick up the stick and go to this end of it, instead you go to the end of it that is the most active. And then it feels to you like you're struggling to find the imagery. Then you said something really interesting about, if I go to the vortex, how will I improve my imagery? And we want to say to you that the work is just to go to the vortex. The work isn't to find the specifics so that you can get to the vortex. The work is to diminish the specifics that are keeping you out of the vortex. The vortex will take you in, and then the specifics will ensue. Now it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. You take those specifics and you make them more general. So let's do that. Let's take some of the specifics that you were talking about, speak them specifically, and we'll make them more general and show you what we mean.
Like, for the last 10 years, I've been in jobs that I've been not too happy.
All right, did you hear the specifics of that? 10 years, jobs, not happy, painted a pretty specific picture, didn't it? Give us more specific. Not happy because?
Because boredom, lack of fulfillment, Just
not
blah.
utilizing the best of myself,
Exactly.
not really getting to dig in. Now we're evoking the specific from you just to sort of make a point. So then you can't all of a sudden start imagining a more rewarding, more fulfilling job, because that vibration is so active, it sort of holds you in an arena that sort of doesn't let you stray too far from it.
Exactly.
So now, let's stay negative because we can't help it.
Yeah.
But let's be more general in our negativity. So now try to make some more general statements. Instead of 10 years, you could say, for a while, or it's been my experience.
Well, I don't know. It's this is why I think I need the imagination, because it's just I'm stuck there.
But you see, what we want to help you to do is slow the vividness and the specificness, probably not a word, of that, slow it down by making it more general. So for example, rather than saying, for the last 10 years, I've sort of been stuck in these jobs that are really not rewarding, and they don't really understand who I am, and nobody's really offering me enough to really get the best from me. And then because I'm not happy, I'm not giving my best, and then I'm sort of all balled up in all of that. And when I wake up in the morning, I really don't want it. Now, we're deliberately staying specifically negative to make a point. So that gets you nowhere, and you can't get specifically positive from there. So then you just get generally negative. I'm not having a good time at work. That's more general. Don't really want to go. Sure wish I could find something that felt better. I'd like to feel good at work. Now, the word boredom was good because it's sort of general. You weren't talking about specifically what you're bored with, but the word boredom is an emotional word. Usually when you use an emotional word, you've gone more general. I'm sort of bored at work. I don't feel very fulfilled. It's more general. It's less specific. Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Now, let's stay there negatively and general for a little while. It's just not very fun. It's got to be something better for me. I don't really know where to find it. Still negative, less specific, so it has less drawing power. It'd be nice if I could find something that was better suited to me. I know that it must be out there.
It has to be.
Now you might vacillate back and forth. It must be out there, don't know how to find it, but it must be out there, don't know how to find it, but still, it's general. Everybody is not in their perfect job. There are a lot of people that are doing less than what they really want to do. I think we all have potential for more. There's always more there for me. It's not necessary that I find it right now, immediately, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I like spending such a big part of my life doing something that feels more satisfying. I do believe that it has to be there and that eventually I'll find it. And I certainly do not feel that like I'm out of time. I have the patience to allow it to come. And I do think that in all of my not enjoying what I've been doing, that I probably have put plenty of good stuff into my vortex. So I imagine that there's stuff queued up there for me, probably more than I even realize. And it will be fun. I like the idea of getting into the vortex. Now we're being really general, but really specific, and almost changing the subject, but not. I like the idea of getting into my vortex. I like the idea of getting in there where the path will unfold. I like believing that it's out there for me. I like believing that the universe has it lined up. I like believing that the cooperative components have already been aligned. And I like believing that all I have to do is sync up with that. And I like this feeling of feeling lighter about it. I'm looking forward to getting on that trail. And I like the feeling that as the trail starts revealing itself to me, that I'll know it. And it's going to be fun. This journey toward this improved employment is going to be really fun. And I'm not sure I'll ever find the perfect work. I think I'll just always be on my way to the improvement, on my way to the improvement. And there's something nice about always being on my way to the improvement that sort of diffuses the not perfection of where I stand. But I don't ever really want to be in a place of perfection because it's always going to be improving. So where I am is pretty much all right. This is just a never-ending, always unfolding journey of getting more and more of who I am and what I want. And I have to believe that in the middle of this job that is unrewarding, I put all kinds of stuff in my vortex that is more rewarding, which makes all of this part of the important process. And so actually I'm coming to realize that right here and right now, I love where I am. I really love where I am because it's the basis of what's coming. And who can start a journey without having a starting place? And isn't the starting place all right no matter where it is? And so I'm not even sure why I was not liking where I am. I'm not sure what's wrong with where I am. I think it's pretty much okay with where I am. Now, not a whole lot of imagination in that, because there wasn't a whole lot of working and focusing and affirming. It was just a sort of diffusing and allowing of your natural resources to take you. And it all is perfectly logical, isn't it? Did you feel it move? They felt it move because as we were speaking to you, you felt the true resonance of what you know. You see, talking about you're looking through the eyes of Source and seeing the ant on the sidewalk, hearing through the eyes of Source, knowing through the knowledge of Source, that's what being in the vortex is. It gives you clear view. So when you're standing, wherever you're standing, and you have diffused your resistance, so you're allowing the fullness of Source to look through, now suddenly there are all kinds of delicious discoveries right there where you are, you see. So what is imagination? Let's go back to that word. What is imagination? We talked about the word faith earlier. We would like to put a whole new spin on the idea of imagination by reminding you that you are way, way more than you know in any moment. We talked about that already, the oneness, the wholeness. And so if you accept that there is this larger part of you that knows everything you want and knows everything you put into the vortex and is standing there in full realization of all of it. Realization meaning full-blown vibrational manifestation of all of it, holding all of the knowledge of all of that. If you know that that part of you exists, then isn't the ultimate imagination just putting yourself in a place where you're not resisting, but therefore are then able to catch glimpses of that knowledge? Imagination is knowledge about things not yet manifested and therefore things not yet seen. You don't have to use your imagination to look at this carpet. What were they thinking? You don't have to use your imagination. You can just look at it. You can just look at it and it just reveals itself to you because you're already able to use your ability to interpret vibration into translating this into something that is vivid in your now. So imagination or imagery is really about finding the vibrational essence of something so that it can be translated to you, through you, in some sort of real and meaningful way. So when we say we want you to look at this in a different way, we want you to understand that the larger part of you holds knowledge about all things, especially all things that have mattered to you that you put into the vortex, and that the ultimate imagination is just being in the vibrational vicinity so that you can see through the eyes of Source. That's where inventors get their ideas, because they themselves and mass consciousness, sometimes for generations, has been putting the request into the vortex, and it's already been conceived and realized vibrationally. And then when they allow themselves to chill enough by not demanding that they extrapolate something from the universe that they're not ready to, but instead they just chill and let the vortex take them in, once in, the revelation of that does occur. And humans call that imagination. We call it getting into the vortex and know what the larger part of you has already known.